This case has a lot of holes in history around it that even leads to ghost hunting in the place where the murders took place, and the murderer have not been found. And we have seen this in different cases before, although with DNA, some cases are being solved. However, this case is and or may be hard to crack with DNA since it's over 100 years now. Just like Jack the Ripper, for example. However, people believe the one who committed the crimes was Lizzie Borden, but was acquitted because of one reason. She was a woman. And so this is the Lizzie Borden case from Story of American Card's Daily Life section. Lizzie Andrew Borden was an American woman tried and accused of the August 4, 1892 axe murders of her father and stepmother in Fall River, Massachusetts. No one else was charged in the murders, and despite ostracism from other residents, Borden spent the remainder of her life in Fall River. She died of pneumonia at age 66 on June 1, 1927. Just before the days after her older sister Emma died. The Borden murders and trial received widespread publicity throughout the United States, and along with Borden herself, they remained a topic in American pop culture to the present day, with having been depicted in numerous films, theatrical productions, literary works, and folk rhymes, and are still very well known in the Fall River area. The case of Lizzie Andrew Borden was charged with the Blue Axe murder of her father and stepmother, who was one of the most celebrated in American criminal history. Lizzie Borden was born in Fall River, Massachusetts on July 19, 1860, and her mother died when she was only 2 years old. At the time of the murders in 1892, she was living with her father, her stepmother Abby, her sister Emma, and their maid, Bridget Sullivan. Now 32 years old, Lizzie Borden was still unmarried, liked doing housework, and taught Sunday school at her church. On the morning of August 4, 1892, Borden was home with the maid when, to her horror, she discovered the bloody and disfigured body of her father. Apparently, he had been bludgeoned to death with a heavy, sharp object. A short while later, the body of Abby Borden was also discovered. She had been similarly braided and battered. Lizzie Borden was arrested on August 11, 1892, and her trial was held in New Bedford, Massachusetts, in June 1893. The prosecutor pointed out that the domestic tension had caused Lizzie and her sister Emma to avoid Miss Borden. Lizzie also made an attempt before the murders to purchase some highly toxic prussic acid. Moreover, there was her strange behavior on the morning of the crime, her burning of a dress 3 days after the murders, and variations in her statements concerning her movements. The maid testified that when she let Mr. Borden in that morning, the door to the house was locked and bolted. Also, Lizzie had accounted for her stepmother's absence by saying she had gone to visit a sick neighbor and after receiving a note. But no ill person, no note was ever located. Further, a broken hatchet blade was found in the cellar, which, although cleaned, matched the cuts on the slain couple's heads. And perhaps most damaging, no sign of forced entry was found. This evidence suggested that the crime had been an inside job. During cross-examination, the maid admitted she left the door unlocked while working outside that morning. Other witnesses claimed to have seen strange persons in the vicinity. No blood stainers were found on Lizzie, and the prussic acid charge was dropped as irrelevant. At no time did Lizzie herself take stand, and throughout the trial, she remained silent and tight-lipped. Following her lawyer's brilliant plea, which she considered Lizzie's general reputation was with a ghastly brutality of the murders, also because she was female, Lizzie was acquitted by the jury on June 11, 1893, and the crime has never been solved. There's been a lot of suspicion that Lizzie is the killer, and reasons that can definitely point to her as the killer would be the days of the time the murders occurred, saying, "Women could not commit this type of brutal act." And that was what led her to be acquitted and not charged in the crime. However, even with that suspicion and evidence that can point to her, nowadays, Lizzie is very much seen as the prime suspect and killer, and with that, a lot have been based on the case and based on Lizzie herself, mostly as the killer. Rhymes and depictions around the case have been made in the culture of America. As scholar Anne Sofield notes that Lizzie's Borden story has tended to take on the other of two fictional forms, the tragic romance and the feminist quest. As the story of Lizzie Borden has been created and recreated through rhyme and fiction, it has taken on the qualities of a popular American myth or legend that effectively links to the past to the present. Let's talk about the rhymes. The popular rhyme was the skipping rope rhyme, sung with then popular song, Ta-ta-ra, boom-dee-day. It goes like this. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. It's apparent that it's made up by an anonymous writer as a tune to sell newspapers. Others think of ambiguous anonymous Mother Goose. In reality, Borden's stepmother Abby was actually suffered about 18 to 19 blows, with her father only suffering about 11. There's also a second less known version of the titular rhyme that goes like this. Andrew Borden now is dead, Lizzie hit him with it on the head. Up in the heaven he will sing, on the gallows she will swing. As far as depictions go, let me name the most known to not make this too long. Among the earlier portrayals on the stage was John Colton and Carlton Miles' 1933 play, 9 Pine Street. Lillian Gish played Effie Holden, a character who is based on Borden. The play was not a success and ran for only 28 performances. In 1947, Lillian de la Torre wrote the one-act play, Goodbye, Miss Lizzie Borden. Carmen Matthews played Lizzie Borden in the Alfred Hitchcock Presents Season 1 episode, The Older Sister, with John Jordan-Loring as Emma and Hitchcock's daughter Pat as the servant Margaret. The episode aired on January 22, 1956, and plays in 1893, with a determined woman reporter trying to interview the sisters 1 year after the murders and end the revelation that Emma committed the murders. In 2015, Supernatural aired an episode called Din Lizzie. In this episode, Sam and Dean Winchester investigate the Lizzie Borden house. After several people were murdered with an axe, the original suspect, that the ghost of Lizzie Borden, is the one who is responsible for the murders. But they then discover that she isn't the murderer. And that's the Lizzie Borden case. The next cards of those who are interested, I'll be talking about the Titanic and Amelia Earhart. So see you next time.